My, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. The Groomer Next Door production. You're listening to BYOTP Radio. Coming up next, the Groomer Next Door. The Groomer Next Door podcast.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hello, Pups and Kittens, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of The Groomer Next Door. I'm your host, Chris Green, and joining me in just a moment is Tom Atyeo. He's with a great company called UltraPet. UltraPet is actually a cat litter company that is breaking down barriers and making cat litter fun. Which brings me to my point. I don't know anything about cat litter. I don't know who invented it, and I don't know much about it. I know where to put it, and my cats know how to use it. Which, makes me wonder, why have we not done an episode like this before? And then it also brings me to say, I have no idea who invented it, and that's where this week's Fact of the Week comes in. The inventor of cat litter's name is Edward Lowe. Edward Lowe invented cat litter in 1947. Before cat litter was invented, people would predominantly keep their cats outside. But when their cats were inside, people would use ashes, dirt, or sand as cat litter. So, one day in January of 47, Edward Lowe's neighbor, Mrs. Draper, knocked on his door and asked him for some sand, for some litter. Well, it sparked up a little bit of an interest in his mind. He was already a pretty big entrepreneur as well, and invented cat litter. So, here's a man who actually created something out of nothing, and that is absolutely amazing. Well, Tom is about to join us, so let's get to know him.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
Alright, this week we have somebody who is involved in cats, which is a big passion of mine. He has a great product out there, and products in plural. He is Tom Atyeo. He is the VP of Marketing for UltraPet. Thank you very much for being on the podcast.
It's my pleasure to be on the Groomer Next Door podcast.
It is always fun to talk to somebody who is a cat lover, as I am. I have tons of rescues that I just absolutely love. And the one thing that they use on a daily basis is their litter box. So being able to talk to somebody about litter is actually quite entertaining to me. And I don't know why we don't have more conversations about litter, because there's so many different things we should be talking about. So you're the perfect person for it.
Well, if it's not too uncomfortable of a subject for you, that's fine. Some people don't like to talk about the bathroom kind of the business, but it is interesting.
Well, it's kind of funny. Way back when we had what was it? It's Litter Robot, I think it was, and it was the creator of it. And, he said how he kind of didn't think it was so great to say, hey, I make a machine that my cat goes to the bathroom in, and I thought to myself, no, that's great. Are you kidding? This is something that they have to do. It's not that impressive. I'm like, yes, it is. I mean, we got to kind of evolve, and that's the one thing.
Sort of like Japanese toilet bowl, the ones that open the lids and have the lights and the air dryers and everything. It's like that's what it is for the cats. But just like I don't have one of those in my home, most people still rely on cat litter, and there's, of course, hundreds of choices of cat litter. So that's can be a quandary for consumers, either when they have their first cat, or even if you've had a cat for 20 or 30 years, there's innovations coming out, and there's always the do I try something new because it could work better? Overcoming the reluctance that my cat's used the same litter for 5 years, and what happens if he or she doesn't like it? So this is a decision process that every cat owner goes through, and so it's a long-term commitment in one respect. In our industry, we see there are some people who never change litters, and we see people who change litters every month, which kind of can lead to confusion for cats. But most people will stick with the litter as long as the cat is happy with it, because ultimately, if the cat will use the litter box and then it does what it's supposed to, controlling odor, having no dust or low dust, and being fairly easy to maintain, then you're probably going to stick with that litter and not change. And it's a challenge for people like myself that we have some innovative litters, and we have a brand new one we brought out called Neon. Is how do we attract the consumers, and especially the buzzword nowadays is the millennials. How do you get the millennials or the Gen Ys? And they are actually really into cats. Cats take less time than dogs as far as care, and they do their business in their litter box instead of having to take a dog for a walk 5 or 6, 7 times a day. So, and they're easy to videotape and fun and put on your YouTube, and so cats are really popular, but they're also popular with all generations. So it's interesting why people have pets, and it's different for every generational group. But it always comes down to companionship. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. It's what always gets my attention is why we don't have the innovation, and that's what I first thing I said was, I love this, and I got into more of your products, and I was like, hey, you really are thinking outside the box. That's pretty cool.
Well, we're trying to think outside the box so the cat will stay in it.
That's a very good line. That is very good.
We may have to trademark that one, right?
Yeah, you might have to put something on that one, and it's actually kind of trademarked because it's going to go up in a couple days. So once this is live, it does actually owned by you. Well, let's start off with the origin story of Ultra Pet. How did it start, and kind of take us through that whole beginning story to now?
Sure. So Ultra Pet was started as a company that brought in the first silica gel litter to the United States. A gentleman named Dan Sluter, our parent company is called Harvest Ventures, and they had been to a trade show in Japan, a pet trade show, saw the silica gel, loved it, started bringing it into the United States, and they brought it in as the brand Litter Pearls. And the original pearl was like a BB. It was round, and for about 1 year they had that, and everybody loved it because it had no dust, it had great odor control, and it was such an innovation going up from clumping clay. The silica litter, basically you would just stir it once a day, remove the solid waste, and the crystals themselves, they absorbed liquid waste on contact. And then they would release the water portion of the urine back into the environment, and they would hold all the things that would cause the litter to smell inside these crystals. And they're so dry, it's drier, like 10 times drier than a desert. So they would not have any odor. Well, everybody loved the litter, except when the cats kicked it out of the litter box, you had BBs. And so the next year we came out with a litter called Litter Pearls Traxless, which were irregular shaped crystals. And so if they were kicked out, they didn't roll. They could be just swept up. So in tracking is something that pretty much every litter does, because cats tend to kick a lot. And we just got a kitten, and it's the most conscientious cat I've ever had. It covers the litter for like 5 minutes, and whatever its business is. So it's pretty. I was like, wow, that's a well-trained cat. His mom did a great job. But we also have another brand called Ultra Pearls, and that was the grocery side, which is sort of in between the two. And that was pretty much what we did for about 10 years. It was in all the pet store chains, and we did some private labels for some of the big box stores, which we continue to do so. And when it was in 2008, we introduced a microcrystal. So this is the same crystal as all the other ones, but they were very fine. It was like a beach sand. And, we kind of got that idea because, I remember as a boy, playing in the sandbox, and there was always the things that we were moving around with our Tonka trucks, and our mom would come in and scream and say, "Oh my God, don't touch that." You remember that?
Yes. Yes.
So we put this sand in there, and the acceptance level was so fast that we really never had any rejections. With the round litters, there could be a little bit of rejection because it would make a noise. And so the cats kind of had to be acclimated with the process of putting some of your old litter on top and kind of working them through. And the same with the trackless. Sometimes you would put your old litter, whether it was a clumping clay or any other litter, on top. And with this, what we found with the really fine-grained crystals, this was our litter pearl microcrystals, that there was no transition time. We really had zero rejection. And the odor control actually, in my opinion, was better because there was the crystals were so tightly packed that even when the boys who tend to urinate against the side of the litter box versus in the middle, it was able to capture that urine before it actually got to the bottom and absorb it, and then that would keep the odor in. That has continued to grow to this day. We've been 9 years, and that each year continues to grow. So that's a great product. And we had other products. We came out with a really light, it was a mixture of clay and silica called Ultralight, and that's available. And then we also have we have our traditional clay, or not traditional, but a clumping clay. Early on, we purchased a brand and a product line called Better Way. And Better Way was invented by Dr. Thomas Nelson. Thomas Nelson, I believe he worked at Texas A&M, but he was a biochemist. And to help make money while he was in graduate school, he raised Persian cats. And he had the problem, this was in the early 80s, he still didn't like the regular cat litters and things. And he was studying bentonite clays and different formulas and how to actually work with these different clays. And he discovered how they would clump. And it's how they're dried and how they're ground and things. And so he actually developed the first clumping cat litter. And then, of course, everybody has that now. Tidy Cat has it, and Fresh Step, and Better Way, and Everclean, and Arm & Hammer. Everybody has a clumping clay, typically made with sodium bentonite, and then they do their little spins on it. Some of them put carbon in it. Some of them put baking soda. We actually put a cat attractant on ours, and so the only thing that's kind of different about ours is we use extremely fine-grained clay that kind of matches our microcrystals because, again, cats are so conscious of the texture that they're going into with their feet that we found that, and there's been some studies done at Cornell University where the smaller granule is preferred 2-to-1 over larger granule litters. And so the studies were done after Thomas Nelson developed this, but it certainly confirms that he was on the right track. So that's the other product that we have.
Oh wow, that is a lot of things I did not know. I did actually read something, and I think it was the Texas A&M. I think it was a journal that had talked about specific litters and how cats will reject it. I think I actually read something about that. Whether I read it or I read a small piece online, I think I read something about that. So, but that was really interesting, and yeah, you can't believe how much scientific facts have gone into the research of litter. And that's what's kind of cool to hear it from your perspective. I mean, I'm sure you've read a million different things about litter and how certain grains are right for cats and some are wrong for cats, and cats will reject these. I'm sure you've read tons of them. So that's.
Well, it really comes. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to every cat is different.
Yes.
And that's why it's so hard to feed them sometimes, because a dog will eat almost anything, including something dead on the side of the road if you let them. So in a cat, they ate something on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't think so. And of course, as concerned pet parents, owners, or servants, however you look at the cats, how they look at you, maybe it'd be a better way, that they actually, we worry, they didn't eat. The cat is going to eat when it needs to eat.
Right.
And they're not going to starve themselves, but they will torture you if you let them.
And that's what I love about them. I mean, I really do. I've got my cats range from the sweetheart to just feed me, leave me alone and feed me, and pet me when I tell you to. I get it. I completely get it.
Sure, every one of them's different, and besides, it's like it has to do with when they're weaned. It has to do with with the experiences they've had with other animals. They're as complex as people are.
Yes.
And, maybe because they don't talk, we just have trouble understanding them. But they certainly treat us as very well, typically appreciated house servants, and if they deem that we've done our job correctly, then they'll give you a little love and tell you you've done a good job. And there's not too many of them that are clingy. They kind of give you what they want to give you, and then they walk away and take a nap.
Well, I find that during the summer, that's when they're kind of more or less, look, I got a lot of jacket on, so because of my fur, so I really don't want to be snuggled. But when it's nice and cool outside or cold, they're right up against you. You became not just, mom or dad or servant, but you became, and you're a warming device. Thank you.
Yeah, that's basically from October till March.
Yes.
You're a warming device. The rest of the time,
yeah.
You touch me occasionally with cool hands.
That's kind of what it is. Well, here's an interesting thing. You're the very first person I've been able to talk to that actually was at Super Zoo since I've been actually recording. I had friends that were in attendance. Actually knew somebody else who was a couple of different people who were in booths, but I haven't talked to them since. So you were there. You got to experience it firsthand. Tell us all about what Super Zoo was like. What was your experience, and just anything about it, because I was so sad I couldn't actually make it.
So, to do a Trumpism, it was huge. No, it was so big that it's really very difficult for anybody to walk the whole show. I was talking to another person, and they said that they took the number of booths there were, and if you wanted to spend 1 minute in every booth, you couldn't have done it during the show.
Wow.
So people had to be selective. Now, what most retailers or people that are in the industry or the press will do is they'll come in and there's a new item showcase, and it's about 70% dog for the new items, and then there's cats a little bit less, maybe like 15, and then there's small animals and reptiles and accessories and things. But dog is the hugest portion of the whole show, and people will walk through there, they'll say, I like this, write down the booth number, and then they kind of map out where they're going to go, because you can't zigzag. You have to be fairly organized to see as much as you can. What we've seen there and at Global Pet is that the buyers that we want to see don't make appointments anymore. They just say, I'm walking the show the way I'm going to walk it, and they just expect you to be busy, not busy when they come, and or to, kind of pivot on somebody and hand them off, so that if if a big client walks in, you need to take care of them. And we were able to do all that. It's not a problem. We have enough people in our booth to do that. But sometimes we might shift, like if we're just talking to a single store, and then somebody from say PetSmart walks up, then myself or the company president or somebody will try to step away and use ourselves from that conversation and go to the one for the chain and put in one of our salespeople on there. And that's pretty typical, I think, because a lot of times the single store may not even be able to buy from you because their distributor may not carry the product that we carry. So, but what we saw this year was Super Zoo had a lot of really big booths, and we're seeing that with a lot of just everybody's expanding their booths and trying to be noticed. If you can't be noticed by your product, be noticed by your booth size, or you just have so many products you can't put them into a small booth. You have to just get bigger and bigger. But we had good traffic. We actually had a lot of individual stores come by us this time because of the new product we have. It's called Neon. And the Silica gel litter was a little bit different, and so we just keep coming by asking questions about it. We introduced it last year, and it won Best Cat Product of 2016. And so this year we just introduced a new color, so couldn't win an award or anything. But we did show it and did have a lot of interest in that particular product. So we're still showing Litter Pearls, showing Better Way, the Ultra Light, and but the Neon was our focus because it's our newest product line.
Now with Super Zoo, because I'm going to dedicate a whole moment to Neon in just a moment, because that was what drew me in. And I'll tell you, you've seen the Facebook page. I mean, it's like 30,000 likes. I mean, it is definitely a very trafficked and interested product. And I'm one of them, definitely one of them. Thank you for having such a cool product. Now with Super Zoo is, for anybody who doesn't know, it's more or less, it's the Comic-Con for the pet industry. And really, from where I stand, and I'm from a different side of it, I'm not a distributor, I'm not a product. It's more or less for you guys to have your product out there and to actually have this, like you said, there's not this so-called meetings where you're bringing your product in to, like you said, a PetSmart and showing it off. It is almost the modern day version where they all kind of come in, they know what to look for, they pretty much have almost scouted out all the people that they want to actually see, talk to, and then they go out to that event, and that's what happens. Now, is that a good assessment of what Super Zoo is?
Yeah, it's a pretty general. That gives the general idea. So you kind of have to imagine pet products covering like 5 football fields, and there's probably 20 or 30 vendors that are selling collars and leashes, and there's probably, and everyone's got a little bit different spin. One of them's got LED lights in it. One of them has a special reflection. One of them's got a special release. So there's a lot of products, and of course there's lots of cat litters. And typically the people like Clorox, Arm & Hammer, Purina don't go to these shows. It's more of the smaller companies like Ultra Pet, and Boxy Cat was there.
I saw Rat Cat, Primal. I mean, I've had,
right.
Yeah. So there's some big names. I mean, and you were definitely one of them that actually had the actual backing. That's kind of cool, though, to be in that kind of environment.
And basically, you're right. The buyers will go through, and this could be individual, from anywhere from an individual store up to a chain, and also distributors that would sell to individual stores are also looking for new products. And so it's actually good for both sides, because if I was going to, obviously I couldn't visit 10,000 pet stores. There were 15,000 pet stores, but even to go see every distributor, or to even see all the large box stores, these mass merchants, it would take how many airplane flights, how many days, how hard is it to get those to get them when they're actually looking for new products. So great opportunity for us, great opportunity for the retailers and the distributors to all kind of meet in one place, and we'll take some of them to dinner, and or take them to lunch and things. Just we try to have a really open relationship within the industry. I mean, it's an industry, I guess you would say, of frenemies. I mean, there's a lot of friends, but on the playing field, we all have to say, well, yeah, my product's a little bit better than his because. But in America, I will tell you that we all have to produce and have very safe products, because America's litigious, right? People here will go to their attorney and sue somebody if they have a problem, if a manufacturer doesn't produce a good product. So it's as a manufacturer, and it's very important that we do our due diligence, that we research our products, and that we make sure they're safe. And as a pet owner of both cats and dogs, when I go buy a cat food or I go buy a dog food, it's very important for me to think that this product is what it says on the side of the can. And if I want an organic cat food for my cats, and I'm hoping that what it says is what it is. And so, we've had those melamine scares that happened, I think that was about, 7 years ago, where the melamine was in some of the dog protein. And, it was because everything went through so many different hands before it got to the actual factory that it was adulterated, or there was a funny business somewhere along the line at the very beginning, actually. But we as manufacturers and people who put product on the market in America all do our best to make sure it's safe for what it's labeled for. So, obviously we come out with a cat litter. We have to make sure that it's safe for cats, and obviously for the pet parents too. But I think that's what everybody's doing. So getting back to Super Zoo, you have buyers that are walking these aisles, and one of the things that is an issue, because let's say there's 20 cat litters, brands of cat litter at Super Zoo in these 5 football fields of booths, how do you get their attention? And it's the same problem we have when you get into a grocery store or into a big pet store, that they've got 40 feet of cat litter. How do you stand out on that in that arena? And that's probably everybody's challenge. So we all either say we're going to go, crazy, we're going to make this out of the bark of some crazy tree, or we're going to use, we're going to make it out of orange peels, or we're making it out of anything disposable. They'll make a litter out of or try, because everybody's looking for that. But we were in particular at the Super Zoo. We have this neon booth, and it's got the cat. Or for your listeners, I'll give you a little story about this in a second. But our logo is our office cat, and his name is Max. And he's just a cat. He's nothing fancy, but he is a movie star now. And we have a picture of him on our bags of neon with sunglasses, and as a rave cat. And then we've got lasers going all over our booth and things like that, because our catchphrase is "Your cat will rave," and that's a double entendre, that the cat will rave about the quality and how much it likes the cat litter and things like that. But it's also on this rave cat thought that these cats, I think you've probably seen them on YouTube, where the cats are dancing and they wear sunglasses and they got disco balls going and things. And that's this millennial group. I mean, they are into cat videos. So when we'd come up with this fantastic litter, we've taken the Silica gel litter that we've had for, since 1989, I think. And, then we had it in 2006, we brought out the microcrystals, and we've been trying to get it to clump, because we had consumers come to us and they said, I really like silica gel litter, but because it holds the urine on the inside, and that's, of course, the reason why it has great odor control, that is also, they said, that's got a ooh factor to it. Like, ooh, the urine's still there, where with my clay litter or my clumping litter, I can pull that out. And doesn't matter, you explain it's inside the crystal, it's just, ooh, I don't want it. I want you to produce one that has the odor control of silica gel that clumps, and I can get it out of there. So we worked at it, figured it out, and we came out with the first clumping silica gel litter. And we did it under our Litter Pearls brand, because Litter Pearls is pretty much all white. There's no food coloring in any of the dyes. I know if you've seen silica gel litter, a lot of them have little blue spots or things, blue crystals and things. And that's just a coloring. It is safe food coloring. So, but on our Litter Pearls brand, they wanted it to be white. So we came out with this clumping white litter. It was well received, but we were cannibalizing our Litter Pearl customers, and we're trying to get new customers. We're trying to get millennials. We're trying to get the Gen Xers that have kids, that are starting families. And we didn't see that we were attracting enough of those two really critical
demographics. Yeah.
Yeah, the demographic groups. So we had this fantastic colored litter that clumped now, because we have these really bright. It's a bright pink, it's a bright green, a bright orange. We just came out with purple. We had these really bright colors that are almost as bright as neon. I mean, they don't glow or anything, but they were that bright. And I called my daughter, who was in marketing in New York City, and I said, I am stumped. I said, I need to sell cat litter to millennials, and I am stuck. I'm not a millennial and don't think like one very often. So, and she said, Dad, you got to go on YouTube and look at these rave cats. And so I did. She said, Dad, you've got to put a cat with sunglasses on that bag. It's got to be different, because it's a different litter. And so I told her, no, that's never going to happen. And she just told me, she says, Dad, you're not trying to sell to old, fat, white guys. You're trying to sell to hip, young women, because, of course, women we know women buy about 80% of the purchases, and they make about 95% of the purchase decisions for anything coming in the house. So had to give her that point, and had to kind of go through the same process with everybody in the company. But we finally got Max, and put some sunglasses on him, took a picture, and there we've got our RAVE cat. So it's a great litter. But that's the kind of process in the super zoo is how do you make your product stand out from all the other collars, all the other foods, all the other medicines, and that is extremely difficult.
And you did a great job on segueing, because you segued right into neon litter, which is, I don't know if you meant to do it so eloquently, but you did a great job of it. And so now you've kind of given us the origin on neon litter. And you know, as I'm listening to you tell the story, I was not expecting you to say that my daughter, who is older, I thought you were going to go with, like in my case, my 8-year-old, who pretty much gives me, I would say, 80% of guidance, maybe a little less. Maybe my wife will be. I'd give my wife a lot more credit than just 20. Both my wife and my daughter are pretty good about ideas. My daughter more so just will come up with random things. Like I like, I know with her, the neon litter is just going to attract her attention. And I hate to say this, yes, I have parental blocks up, but yeah, she's a YouTube fiend. She's always on it, and she's always talking about this cat or this different thing. So I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna say, oh yeah, my 9-year-old. So I was a little taken back, but I can relate to it. You know, she was right. She was dead on. She had it right in there, and you know that. Just that concept. It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud. It's like, who's going to buy this? But no, it makes sense. And I even take it another step. When I looked at it the first time, the first thought in my mind was, this is the perfect litter for, it didn't matter what age. Because you could have a grandma or a grandma, grandpa, or just a grandpa, and his grandkids are coming over for the summer. Well, or they come over occasionally. Well, that neon litter for the cat that they have, it would be perfect because the kid's going to love it. You have the parents, of course.
You're right on, and I think that when we look at the generational differences, it comes down to why people would buy these litters. So, my mom lives in the same town that I do, and she comes by my office frequently. We'll go to lunch or something. She walks in, and I've got litter boxes across the top of my desk full of all these neon litters. And she walked in, and she says, I want the green one because it matches the room where the litter box is.
There it is.
And so hers was a fashion or a decorating reason for picking a color. And I was like, well, either that or you're a millennial, Mom. I don't know. So, but everybody, and then you get your Gen Xers. When we talk to them, they go, you know, if I have this litter, I bet you my son or daughter will clean the litter box more often.
Yep.
And the great thing, I'll tell you, the nice thing about neon is, I mean, it's got a bunch of really nice features, but one of them is that because it's silica gel, by the way, does not clump. But we use a food starch called guar gum, which is used in lots of food products that we all eat. But that is our binder so when the cat urinates, it gets whatever that silica, the silica is sucking in the urine, or absorbing this urine, and the starch gets wet, and then as it dries, the clump gets really hard. But all the odor, all the molecules that would cause odor are inside, locked in those crystals, and so you only have to scoop your litter box, and if you have one cat, twice a week. And you can scoop it more often, but if you have a teenager who's supposed to clean the litter box every day, and they make it every third day, you're okay. Your house still doesn't smell because everything's locked in the litter box, inside those litter crystals.
Right.
And so that's really nice about neon. And the other thing that we've noticed about neon is that it has no dust, and that's typically something that people notice, and one of the biggest turnoffs is when you pour a litter in, if you get a cloud of dust, and that can happen for a whole lot of reasons, but it could just be not vacuumed enough during packing, but it also could be rough handling during shipping, any kind of friction on any type of substrate, whether it's clay or corn or wheat or silica gel, anything that makes those granulars rub together can produce dust. So it's real important to start with a really clean product and treat it well during transportation. But ultimately, when you pour that in the litter box, you don't know what happened to it before it got there, but you want it to have no cloud. And, it's better for the cats because then when they're digging in it, there's no dust that could cause any asthmatic reactions or anything like that. So, like I said, I'll tell you that, we try every litter on the market, and so I'm not really easily impressed. And but we're excited about the neon litter because it just kind of hits all the bell points and that people are looking for. And when you get something like that, it's just like, how do we get the word out? How do we get people to try neon litter? And a lot of people have never even tried silica gel litter. So, and silica gel is something that everybody should be fairly familiar if you ever bought a pack of tennis shoes or an umbrella or a radio, or even sometimes in medicine bottles, because this is a safe, non-toxic product. There's those little packs that say "Do not eat."
Yes.
They're to absorb moisture, and so the reason why they say they don't eat is because people have put those whole packs in their mouth and then choked on them. So because Americans will do anything unless they read them not to do it, they put on their "do not eat." But the product inside of it is silica gel, and that is actually a non-toxic. It's inert. It doesn't cause any problems. And people ask us. We get a call maybe every 6 months where a dog gets in the litter box and eats some treats, and they've got little pieces of silica gel stuck to their lips, and of course they're smiling and saying they didn't do anything. But the owners will call and say, what do I do? My dog's gotten into the cat box, and because it's such a safe product, the bigger problem is as long as they didn't eat much of the litter, there's not going to be a problem. We just tell them, have your dog eat plenty of water, watch them, but we've never had any problems. And I think we're into 20 years. We've never had any problem with any dog or cat having a problem with silica gel litter. So it's really safe. So it's something to be really happy about.
Now, have you ever taken all the colors, put them in one box, and just see what it looks like?
Well, interestingly enough, we have, but right now, I think it's on Neon Litter at Instagram. Just a customer sent us a picture of their litter box, and they had gotten all the colors. And I guess over time, the cat had done the mix itself, because we have customers that send us pictures that they make for their litter box, for their cat. So let's say you put down a layer of green, and then you take pink and you make it into a heart shape.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got a Happy Valentine's Day for your cat.
I saw that one.
Yeah, and as a very dedicated cat servant, you should give your cat new artwork every week, right? But we do some things with that's just sort of one of our marketing things that we'll take pictures. We do a few litter boxes artwork here, and then our customers send it. But anyway, on Instagram and on Facebook under Neon Litter, we've got this picture that a customer sent in. They got a picture of their cat with the litter box full of neon, and it kind of looks like something taken out of a Hubble telescope. It's really nice looking. And I'm sure you have heard of Jackson Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a cat behavioralist, and he doesn't endorse our product. I'm not saying that, but he does endorse putting the litter box in the living area of the house. So he says take it out of the back corner and take it out and put it out because the cats, they're territorial, so they use the litter for, that's how they mark their territory. So the social area of the house is there. Remember, it's their house. We just live in it to serve. So they want that part, that living room or the family room, to be where at least one of the litter boxes is. And you can certainly have one in a private area because people, most specialists say for every cat you should have 2 litter boxes or 1 litter box plus 1. So if you have 2 cats, you should have 3 litter boxes. Not everybody does it, but that is what cat behavioralists recommend. And so this way at least you've got, a pink litter box or a purple litter box or green or a multicolor or whatever. So there's no smell because the silica gel just sucks it all in. And so I think, I would encourage, people to look at Facebook, Neon Litter on Facebook and Neon Litter Instagram, or go to the Neon Litter site. Actually, did I tell you, have we talked about us filming the videos for these kitty raves?
We haven't gone on there. We talked about before we started recording, and since we're still here on the Neon Litter segment, probably now would be the time to actually, tell everybody about it.
So, as our catchphrase was, or is, your cat will rave, with that double entendre, we wanted to have a way to get social media to react to the Neon Litter. And so we actually went out and we filmed cats, and this was with green screens, black screens. We set up a whole stage with a DJ, the whole DJ apparatus, and we had a film crew, and we would bring these cats in. And there's a product called Silica, which is it's an artificial pheromone from the cat's face, facial pheromones, but it calms cats. And so we kind of spray that around the room, and so the cats would keep them calm, and we would film them, dress them up in with clothes, and film them for a couple minutes, and then their owners were there watching, and they would go back to their owners, or they would just sit. I was actually the one in like a green suit or a black suit holding the cats most of the time, and they would just sit on my lap, and we'd film them again and film them again, and so we did that for 2 or 3 days, and we went to the Humane Society and filmed cats and did the whole same thing over and over again, and we also got Max. I don't know if you hear him, but he's right here, and he wanted to remind everybody that he was in the film too. So we came back and filmed some more of him, and had a really talented videographer put it all together. And so if you go on neonlitter.com and go to Explore, there is a tab that says RAVE videos, and your listeners can certainly go there and watch the videos. And we also have how-to videos, like how to use Neon Litter. That's under Explore as well. And we actually have a segment on how to do Neon Litter art for your cat.
And what's funny is that people don't realize just how much we do for our cats. I think sometimes we do more for our cats, even though they're the quote-unquote independent one compared to our dogs, but we do so much for them that it seems natural to do that. That's what I like about it, is it's able to kind of, almost in a sense, art with something that's not meant for art. It's meant for obvious reasons. But why not make it, look nice? And for the longest time, really, litter has just been that. Litter. It's boring. It's boring and it stinks. So, gel is the way to go.
We talked about, well, it doesn't stink. That's what
Yeah.
wanted to stink, right? And And this is the thing that is kind of fun about the neon is that when you start talking to people about cat litter, you say, oh, this does this odor control, it does this, it's got this water absorption, and people's eyes glaze over like that. It's just instantaneous. It's almost like talking to somebody about the national debt or something. People just zone it out instantly. And but you go, wow, look at these cats dancing on the video, and there's nice pumping, rave music, and it's going, and these cats are dancing to it, and it takes a lot of coordination to get cats to dance with the rhythm. So, but anyway, that was a lot of fun, and it's fun to watch, and people share those videos all the time. And so we actually have, because it's fairly new in the distribution spotty, as far as we have, it's pretty good in California and the West Coast, and it's pretty good up maybe in the Northeast, but most of the country, neon is not available in the stores, so in the local pet stores. So we're trying to overcome that, but we're also making neon litters available through neonlitter.com direct to direct consumers. So there's a site where you go and it's like you buy 3, you get 1 free, and we run promotions and things like that. So it's a way that, say in Missouri, if your local store doesn't have neon litter, that you at least have a chance to buy it if you see it on to make it a nice, get something nice for your cat. If it's not his birthday, get it for him for Christmas or whatever.
And see, that's what's kind of drawn me into so many different things, is things that I want to in time start to carry here, because we don't have a great deal in just. I always say there's this gray area in the country. There's parts of Texas that is exempt to this. There's obviously Chicago that's exempt. But for the most part, it's a gray area that fun products like this are just non-existent. It shocks me. So it's like one of the things that, I told my wife is, in time I want to start carrying these unique type products, because why should pet parents be exempt from being able to have these cool things right at their fingertips?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Texas and Chicago, because the Dallas-Fort Worth area, for our Facebook followers and the people who are, doing these videos, they trend. Texas is the #1 area for people watching these RAVE videos about neon. Chicago is like #3.
Really?
The New York City area is, I think, #2. But yeah, I was really shocked that that the Dallas-Fort Worth area was just going crazy over neon videos, and then I think the Houston area was like #5. So Texas had 2 of the top 5 areas that were in the neon litter watching these videos.
Well, Texas is very trendy. I mean, there is a lot of parts of Texas that is right up there with your Californias, with your New Yorks, with your Florida, your Miami. I mean, I'm talking about your hardcore cities, your real places that you'd want to hit. And being somebody who's from Los Angeles, I mean, I kind of can relate. I can see it. And I just don't, I'm always kind of shocked by this gray area. And that's one thing that's like, okay, we gotta kind of keep pushing our business to kind of grow, and one of it is to have these unique things, because it's just not going to, and I don't know if it will never, but there's places like where I'm at, I'm in a flyover city. These places will probably never have the trendy stuff, because it's just, they want to stay this way. And there's a lot of places like this in America. And it does surprise me. I mean, when you're flying over, probably when you flew over from Vegas, you probably flew over us, didn't even realize that we were there. And in a week from now, when you're in Pasadena, you'll probably fly over again, not realize we're down here. And
my uncle lives in Peculiar, Missouri. So my uncle and aunt live there. So every time I go over Missouri, I always wave.
I will never wave again. No, I actually, I find it to be a very interesting state.
We fly by. Okay.
One day, well, I hope I will hold you to that. I will continuously look in the sky and just watch every plane and just wonder, is that the one that's waving?
The one that's orange, we have the orange plain.
Oh, that helps.
Well, you brought up CatCon. I was just going to tell you really quick that if the CatCon is August 12th and 13th, and anybody who is watching social media on the 12th and the 13th, certainly if they put in CatCon LA, or they put in hashtag Neon Litter, they should come up. We should have some things coming up, and we're actually going to be running some, like a national contest during that week where people can win some free litter. But we're going out there just to show consumers Neon Litter. There's about 25 to 30,000 cat lovers that come to the CatCon, and they're hoping for the biggest crowd they've ever had. And this is just people who love cats that all come together. It's just like a Comic-Con, but for cats, for cat lovers. So.
Well, that's what I was even going to chime in on, is that CatCon is going to be more for the actual consumer. This is the fun one. You went to the serious one, the one that's about the product and about distribution in a sense. And now
dress up like a cat and you actually fit in versus you looking like a weirdo.
And see, that's more my speed. That is way more my speed. But I'm
and you could probably just sneak in.
if I was anywhere nearby, I promise you. For one, I told you my two favorite cat ladies, the two crazy cat ladies, are going to be at CatCon. Which if you have a chance, just please say hi. They are amazing. I think that they would just absolutely love you, and I'll be tagging them in this episode too. Because they are just amazing. And again, the whole thing about this whole podcast is, and you already touched on it a little bit ago when you said, it's an industry where, it is a tight industry. There are, unfortunately, the I like you and I'm friends with you in this industry, and then there's I know you and I'm not entirely a big fan of yours. And it's kind of comical how it works, but there is the great products that are conscientious, and then there's the other products out there. And, not naming names and not naming whether it's a litter or a nutrition or whatever, there's just those certain ones that are there that we all kind of know, and we just go, ooh. And then there's people like Ultra Pet that are caring about not only the product, not only about the cat, but they're caring about the consumer. That's a trifecta in my books.
Well, thank you. And I have to tell you that I think that as we learn more about animals and, they become more a part of the family, I mean, that's been the trend for the last 10 to 20 years, starting with dogs and cats. And, now it's people are, the reptile is a member of their family. They're bearded dragon or whatever. So we accept that they have feelings, that they have souls, that they have emotions, and we have to be conscious of them. And I actually think sometimes we are more conscious of the diet of our pet than we, it's like, okay, I've got to get my dog or my cat this organic grown green beef tripe or whatever it is that we're giving them. And then, we stop at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, we're definitely not fueling ourselves with the same quality that we would, give to our animals, and because we're probably more responsible with our children and with our pets than we are with ourselves. We're less. I think a lot of times we're less conscious of what we do to ourselves. So, I do think that in general. Pets are getting better nutrition than they ever have.
Oh, yeah.
We went from cat litter that was sand and ash to clay, and now we've got so many different choices. And, but how do you get your cat, give your choice to your cats? And can I tell one more story real quick?
Oh, you can tell more stories. I still had other products I wanted to even go over really quick as well. So, no, keep going.
So we ran a contest with Modern Cat magazine, and we gave away. They picked 10 winners that won some cat litter, and we sent it to, we emailed them, said, "Hey, congratulations, you were picked as the Modern Cat winner." And I get a phone call, and it was a lady from California, and she says, "Why did I get this neon litter?" I said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Oh, is this your name?" "Yes." "Okay, well, you won this in a contest that she didn't even remember entering." So anyway, she has F1 Savannahs, and they're in magazines. I mean, this is just luck of the draw sometimes as far as a manufacturer, but her cats are in these magazines, and they're pretty famous, and she wanted to know how to use it, and so we walked her through all this, and so I don't know if you know what a Savannah is, but they look like they're sort of a spotted cat that weigh about 30 to 35 pounds, so they're big cats. F1 means they're one generation out of Africa, so they're still semi-wild or semi-domesticated, however you want to put it. So loving and everything, but like they'll tear your house up at night, that kind of crazy. So, and have you seen those cat wheels where the cats run? They've got them and they're like different sizes.
Yes.
And they're like a hamster wheel for
Yes.
cats. And she's got one that's like 6 or 7 feet tall or round because these cats are so big. But anyway, great cats, absolutely amazing. She sent me lots of pictures. But she said, "I don't know how to use it." And she said, "I have 6 litter boxes." And so I said, "Well, why don't you just, we didn't send her that much. She wanted 4 bags of litter. I said, "Why don't you just put the bags of litter," because they have a really big litter box. And I said, "Just pour it in until it's about 3 inches deep, and just do it in one, and then let me know what happens." And she called me back a couple of days later, and she says, "I got a problem." And I'm like, "Okay, what's that?" She says, "Well, I'm running out of neon litter because the cats will not use the other 5. They only are using the neon litter."
Yeah.
And she says, "I've got 1 bag left, and how do I get more?" And so, we told her how she could get more litter, off Amazon or off this new neon litter site. But she is now ordering from the neon litter site 24 bags at a time because it's a big discount. It's like half price, and there's a 10% off your first order, things like that. So it got it where it was a good cost for her. But her boys will only use neon litter. I don't know why that is. If I had a theory, it's because your other litters were just like regular clay with a scent, and cats don't really like a fragrant litter. They don't like a smell, or certainly not an overpowering perfume. We like it because we don't want to smell cat poo, cat pee, right? And so, because there's no smell in neon litter, it could be one of 2 things. It could be either because it has no smell that they use it, or because it has no smell and they want to mark that territory, that's why they use it. But either way, they're using neon litter exclusively, and they're real happy with it. And she actually sent me a video of these 2 30-pound cats sitting in the litter box urinating together. So that was I didn't put it on YouTube, but maybe we will one day. But anyway, I have to say that that's a testimony. You let your cats decide. Put an extra litter box out, put neon in it, and then right away, because they're going to vote with their potty habit.
And that is true.
But that's a good story. But yeah,
I like that.
It has other litters, and they're available on places like Amazon and Chewy.com, and they're going to be some of them are going to be on Walmart.com, Jet.com coming up in the next few months. So that's for anybody, in the country where they can't get to a litter, get to a pet store. Pet stores have an advantage with litter on weight because no matter what, we say free shipping or what, it's got to be in the price. And to ship a bag of litter, there's a cost associated with that. So our pet retailers will probably have a better retail than you would find online. And that's the advantage because you have a store, correct?
I do. I have a grooming shop that in time, I'm hoping in the next, I'm hoping 3 to 6 months we will carry different products. I'm hoping sooner, but it's.
Yeah, well, you can certainly you be real selective about what you put in. You're obviously not going to be able to compete with a Walmart or a PetSmart or a Petco because they just have so many square feet. So you have to really pick unique products that they won't carry. And typically, the larger retailers are not trendsetters. They tend to be they let somebody else test the market, and then they will go out. So you could be the guy that you're putting in neon litter, and then 3 years later, somebody like PetSmart puts it in. But now everybody kind of does that same kind of trailblazing online because there's not a whole lot of it's not like you have to reset the whole store. And but anyway, so product is much more competitive for the consumer, and they can get a lot more information about products now than you could have 20 years ago. I mean, I don't know how old the internet is, but certainly nowadays people are just well informed on products, and if they don't like it, they'll tell everybody.
Yeah, and social media just absolutely can make you or break you. So and that's helpful. And see, that's the thing about just look at neon litter alone. I mean, it is very high likes, very high recommendations. So that's a huge thing, and that's helpful. Now, before we even, because we're getting up there on time, I wanted to actually touch on this. Something else drew my attention, and that was your product, Better Way. Now, you have different kinds, but there was 2 of them that really caught my attention, 2 different types. You had the flushable, and you had the cedar blend. Now, I'm going to take a wild stab on cedar blend. That is for cats that, and I'm not a big fan, I'm not a fan at all, but cats that have been declawed. I'm guessing, is that the reason for the cedar blend?
No, that is for the fragrance of the cedar.
Huh.
So we actually have so the original is a unscented bentonite clay, very 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 fine bentonite. Then we have one that is called Fresh, and it has a really light chamomile scent. And then we've got the cedar. All of those are made with bentonite.
Okay.
But the small grain, and plus the flushable, all of them have a product called Senel, and that is, it's applied really lightly, but it's made out of a tree resin. And during their initial testing, when we put out litter boxes for cats, the ones that had Senel were used 3 times more than the ones without. So we know that it's attractive, and obviously we have a really hard time understanding what's going on in a cat's brain, right? Why do they make their choices? But we know that the size of the granule is really important because they like that soft feel, the SOFT-on-PAWS.
Mm-hmm.
And they like the Senel for, it has like a little bit of an outdoor smell, but it's so light that really, as a human, you can only smell it when it's being applied. And after that, you'll never smell it because it kind of gets absorbed into the clay. But we promote Better Way especially for cats that have started eliminating outside the litter box.
Okay.
And when a cat does start using the litter box, not using the litter box, eliminating outside, there's a number of basic reasons why. The first one could be physiological. It could be a health problem. A lot of times people, they'll call and say, my cat has urinated on my bedspread, or it's on the tiles or in the tub or something. Typically those cats have a UTI, a lower urinary tract infection. So, and they're urinating there because it's cool, or they're urinating there to say, please take me to the doctor, right? If it's on your bedspread, and sometimes it kind of even gets gooey, mucusy, and they're trying to tell you, I'm sick, I don't feel good, take me to the doctor. But barring that they're eliminating out, and there is no health reason, you've done gotten the vet to do a urinalysis and check for bacteria and things. Typically, then it's behavioral. And the behavioral can be you moved the furniture, you brought in a new puppy, you brought in a kitten, you brought in a child, you went away on a vacation. I mean, cats are very sensitive. They like their life to be just so.
Yes.
Not everyone, but most cats like to have, like, they're in control. My life is the way I want it, and they get upset when there's a change in routine. So they may start eliminating outside of the litter box because they don't like something. And anyway, because of this smell, it helps them, kind of remember, oh, that's where I'm supposed to use the restroom. And, we have people that swear by it, so their cats, the cats have voted, and we're happy that, it serves that purpose. It's a great general, litter for people who like to use clay, because of the SOFT-on-PAWS and the unscented or the really light scent. But the flushable one is different, and the flushable litter is actually where we got our idea for our clumping neon, in that we use the same binder, the guar gum, for holding a non-clumping granule together. And that clumping, what we use is a white zeolite. Now, zeolite is a clay that has an interior structure that has lots of hollow channels, very similar to silica gel, and it is used as a percentage of most clay litters. They'll put in 3%, 5% zeolite because of the odor control properties of the zeolite. Well, this is 100% zeolite, with the exception of the guar gum, and when you have a clump, it's not as hard while it's wet as the bentonite, which pretty much forms a hard clump right away. But when it goes, if it's dry and it's hard and you put it in the toilet, it will dissolve right away and it can be flushed. So that's how that works. But we're actually going to be changing the name because there's some changes in government regulations here in Canada coming that nothing will be able to be labeled flushable probably in the next few years that is not toilet paper.
Gotcha.
Municipalities are having trouble keeping up with flushable like doggy poo bags and flushable. Anything that says it's flushable causes an increase in load on the municipal water systems. And even though and there's a lot of litters like the corn litters and wheat litters that are also labeled as flushable, I think that's all going to go away pretty soon because it is just causing as we have an increase in populations, these municipalities can't keep up with it. So they're just going through and in the process of doing their research and doing whatever they have to do to change legislation. So they called us and they said, we'd like you to make a change, not to your formula, but to your flushable claim. And, we sent them product. They said, we love this cat litter. As a matter of fact, one of the ladies said, I'm buying this for my mom, but we have to not. They said, we'd like you to change the name. So we're going to call it EcoFresh.
I like that, though.
Yeah, so that'll probably happen, probably be in stores probably first quarter of 2018. If you want to flush it, you still can because it's still an identical formula. It's very convenient because of what it is, but we're going to not recommend it on packaging because the government agencies have said it's all these flushable litters, flushable poo bags, flushable anything is causing problems for us, and we all got to do our part. So that's kind of where that is. But Better Way is a fantastic litter, and it was developed and is owned by Dr. Thomas Nelson, the guy that developed it and developed Clump and Clay, and so it's got a long history, and it's still a really premium product. Fantastic.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I mean, I've really enjoyed. I mean, seriously, we don't talk about litter, and that's where it all starts. It all comes back to the beginning. We never talk about litter. We just kind of live with it, I guess you could say. And it's nice to know that there's somebody out there making unique products that is good for our animals and actually good for us. So I really appreciate you being on the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. And, you wanted to have a poo talk again, you just give me a call and we'll talk about the back end business some more.
And I want to mention this before we actually say goodbye. Definitely, for all, you need to go on their actual page, ultrapet.com. Look up Max's World. They have a blog, videos. You got everything. I mean, it is a lot of fun to actually follow up. And I will say this, because we didn't mention it earlier. Labor Day, you are going to be releasing a new video for Neon Litter. Is that correct?
Correct. We're going to launch the newest kitty rave. So we can't tell you it was filmed in a secret location, but the cats were certainly colorful.
Well, I look forward to watching that. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tom, for being on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity and really enjoy your show.
Thank you, Tom, for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to give us some information about cat litter and everything that's going on with UltraPet. I know I didn't know much about cat litter before we started. I know my cats love their litter box. They love it especially after I clean it. But that was pretty much the extent of my knowledge. So I really appreciate you sitting down and giving us all of this information. But before we go, I wanted to mention a great contest that Tom has done for all of you, the listeners. You have a chance to enter to win 6 bags of Neon Litter. 2 winners will be chosen at random, and here's how to enter. Simply go onto Facebook and like the Neon Litter page, then post a Neon Litter picture and mention @Neon Litter and why your cat should win. 2 winners will be chosen at random, and the contest announcement will be made on August 18th. It's unfortunately only for U.S. residents only. Sorry, Canada. Sorry, rest of the world. I really wish you guys all the best of luck. And, whoever wins, go on our Facebook page, the Groomer Next Door podcast. Let us know. I'm dying to have pictures. Love to know more about your experiences. Well, I hope you guys all have a pet-tastic week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go, it's my bedtime.